Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Run It Back, the show where we try to get things right the second time. I thought this draft was an absolute mess. We had some powerful cards, but overall just not really where I wanted to be. So I figured we'd go ahead and get things started here. As you can see, we have a wonderful pack with 3 rares in it. A couple of good ones, and we even see some great uncommons like Soul Innervation as well as Inside Source. But overall, Hunted Bone Brute, great card, amazing card. Attacking for 6 on turn 4 is just nuts. Moving on to pick 2, we have a mythic here as well as a rare. We also see a couple of decent cards in the Seasoned Consultant, Cold Case Cracker. I really like No More Lies, but staying in black, we have our Blood Splatter Analysis. This is just a way to end up buying back our Bone Brute we just got, so that way we can end up playing it again. Thought it was great. Really happy with this card. It performed exactly as expected. Pack 1, pick 3. Did not have a whole lot here in red. We have the Orangutan and the Caught Red-Handed. I don't love either of these cards. We do have the Cold Case Cracker as well as the Reasonable Doubt. These are both very reasonable blue cards. And then there's this Repeat Offender, which I don't mind so much if we wanted to stay in black. But I thought, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and just grab something maybe that turns us into black-white. So that way maybe the Morph deck and black-white is there. You know, creatures 2 or less. That certainly is something reasonable. The other cards that I would probably take a look at would be Karlov Watchdog or potentially the Greenbelt Radical. But I wanted to make sure that I was getting the early drops in first when I go down this road. Pack 1, pick 4. Of course, always tempted by an Insidious Roots. And then, of course, we have this Shady Informant, black-red morph card. I haven't been too excited about this card. Same goes for Defenestrated Phantom. Haven't loved that either. We do have this Sanitation Automaton, which is fine, but I don't really want to pick that early. And we have 3 different colors amongst our cards here. So Escape Tunnel, very reasonable early pick when you don't have really anything else going on. Pack 1, pick 5. This is where we're rewarded for staying true and staying open. We have a couple of black and red cards down here. A Deadly Complication is great in the black-red deck. Notably, we do see another Cold Case Cracker here, which is really good. And then, of course, also the Unscrupulous Agent is a very reasonable card, but not to the same level of Deadly Complication. Pack 1, pick 6. Not too thrilled with too many items here. We do have Flotsam Jetsam, which I really love in your ramp 5 color strategies. I think 6 mana for Jetsam when you're ramping up into it is great, and this is a wonderful payoff. But if I'm playing my Hunted Bone Brutes and Blood Splatter Analysis, I don't know if this is really where we want to be at. So then pairing that with a couple of these other disguised creatures, which are not really some of the ones that I like. Fey Flight is also reasonable, particularly when we have a Hunted Bone Brute. You morph this on 3, on 4 you flip it up, and then maybe you can end up Fey Flighting it in case they were to have a kill spell. That would really certainly get moving, but we took the Public Thoroughfare not really knowing what our colors were going to look like so far. Pack 1, pick 7. We saw a lot of similar cards earlier, and notably there's quite a bit of green going around. This Crowd Control Warden, the Greenbelt Radical, and even the Crawl Whipcracker. Those are all great cards. I've really also enjoyed Mistway Spy, so it's interesting to see quite a few uncommons still around. But we picked the Unscrupulous Agent mainly just because we want to encourage other folks to be going into green. Maybe not necessarily green-black, but the green and the green-white. We want to send those to other folks. So that way we'd end up getting the black and red cards later on. Pack 1, pick 8. We had a couple of different colors moving on here, and we did talk about Flotsam Jetsam as well, but we picked up a case of the Shattered Pact, not really, again, knowing what colors we were in. We could have picked up this Macabre Reconstruction, but we only had the couple of creatures. I wasn't even sure if I was playing this Market Watch Phantom, and I thought that staying colorless, a little bit of fixing was going to be the most reasonable choice. In hindsight, you know, we probably could have used this Macabre Reconstruction. We could have used a Jetsam. Those are both great, but I don't hate this pick looking at it. On the wheel, I don't really love it. Doesn't add up. Suspecting that creature that you get back just doesn't really do it for me. Alley Assailant, I was really high on, now I'm just okay on, but this Concealed Weapon, if we're going into red-black, is great. It's that extra creature that you need in order to, you know, cast for your curve, while also surprising people in for a lot of damage. Looking at Fairy Snoop here, I don't really love this Cerebral Confiscation. No More Lies and Soul Search being up like this is pretty great, but I don't really want to dive into either of those, and Fairy Snoop can be a 1 black on its disguise. So we picked up the Fairy Snoop, a little bit of card advantage. Cold Case Cracker, I thought this was a wild wheel. I didn't think that we'd be able to get something like this. So this was a sign to me that blue was open. So maybe we're looking at more of a Grixis shell or a red-blue splashing black. And then, of course, Insidious Roots wheeled as well. And I thought, oh, man, we've got a little bit of this. We got a little bit of that. Insidious Roots and a case of the Shatter Pact. Maybe we are in 5 colors. So we were keeping our eyes peeled for that as we moved along. Picked up a Behind the Mask late in the pack. Opening up pack 2, we saw, again, 2 rares, which, again, I love. I think this is great, having to decide between them. And we also saw a couple things like Bustle, which is good, Meddling Youths, which is good, even Extract a Confession, I don't mind anymore. At the first, I didn't love this card, but now I've really started to enjoy it. But none of those pale, or excuse me, all of them pale in comparison to Ill-Timed Explosion, card advantage or card selection, and a board wipe. This turned out to be exactly as advertised, won us at least 1 game, kept us in a couple other ones as well. Great card, loved it. Pack 2, pick 2. We did see an Analyze the Pollen, which is going to be better for your 5 color deck, but I still wanted to hold on to this idea of going red-black, and Deadly Complication was the exact reason why I wanted to be in it. Just 3 mana, potentially add a counter to your creature, but definitely killing your opponent's creature has been really powerful, and I've really liked it. Pack 2, pick 3. The Grixis is coming at us. Course to Kill is the exact reason why we would want to be in black-blue. We already had the reason to be in red-blue, and so with Cold Case Cracker, Ill-Timed Explosion, and now this Coerce to Kill, the green and white cards started to flow back off to the side. Even Case of the Shattered Pact was less exciting. Notably, we did see both a Nervous Gardener and a Makeshift Binding, so if we wanted to go down that route, we certainly could, but I'm going to be blind most of the time to anything else that's not Coerced to Kill here. Pack 2, pick 4, we saw this Neighborhood Guardian, which is a very good card. We also saw an Eliminate the Impossible, which is also a very good card. I didn't mind a Dramatic Accusation, but as you can see here at the end, we took the Gadget Technician just to maintain our creature count, as well as get an extra artifact on the battlefield. Red-blue like sacrificing artifacts, and so we were going to be splashing a little bit in there. We'd want to have artifacts to sacrifice, as we don't have too many clue producers. So looking back on it, yeah, we could take this Eliminate the Impossible, even the Dramatic Accusation, but I don't mind this Gadget Technician here. Pack 2, pick 5, not a lot for us. We do have another Eliminate the Impossible as well as a Granite Witness, but I do like having an out cold somewhere in here, and it turns out this was great. This ended up winning us at least a game as well, finishing off somebody before they were able to stabilize. Pack 2, pick 6. We did have both the Orangutan, the Benthic Criminologist. We see a lot of red-blue cards coming around. We took this Cornered Crook. I really enjoy Cornered Crook. I think it's better than some people let it on, but we didn't have too many artifacts to sacrifice at this point. So we do have the Gadget Technician and, of course, the Cold Case Cracker, but we're going to start prioritizing from this point on some artifacts to make sure that we can sacrifice with our Cornered Crook, because coming in as a 5/4 for 5 mana and lightning bolting something, that is pretty big. Pack 2, pick 7, I saw a Pride of the Hulklade and a Buried in the Garden, and I thought both these cards were great. I saw a Repeat Offender and a Reasonable Doubt, and I thought, I'm not really sure about those. And if I wanted a Pride of the Hulklade, I definitely wanted a Buried in the Garden. So now I'm kind of looking at my sideboard still with this Insidious Roots. We have the Case of the Shattered Pact. We've also got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different gold cards that are permanents. So maybe with a Buried in the Garden, we're playing a Niv Mizzet deck and keeping our eyes out for that. Pack 2, pick 8. Well, now if we're going down this route, right, of 5 color, Topiary Panther is a great way to do that. It helps with your collecting evidence if we're going to do that, but mainly it's just a green source that allows you to end up getting another source. Looking back on it, I probably could take this Hard Evidence. A Crime Stopper Sprite would be nice. Even a Fester Leech would be okay, but I don't hate the speculation here on the Topiary Panther. Again, if we were going to go down the Insidious routes, we could have taken this Macabre Reconstruction, but as I take a look at my deck, aside from this Blood Splatter Analysis and the Deadly Complications, we don't really have anything to do any removal spells, nothing to deal with creatures, and I've really enjoyed the first Extracted Confession in most decks because it deals with their morphs easily. So if I morph and then they morph on my turn 4, maybe I can flip up my Bone Brute and then also Extract a Confession, or flip up my Gadget Technician for 2 and then also Extract a Confession for the last 2, right? It just really allows you to do 2 things in the same turn on turn 4, and that can be really powerful stuff. Back to pick 10. Didn't really love too many of these things. I've really not liked Case of the Gorgon's Kiss, and Reasonable Doubt didn't seem like the style of deck that we were going to be playing, so I ended up taking the Riftburst Hellion. We did end up picking up a Cerebral Confiscation for the sideboard, and then a Fey Flight, which I thought was a great pack to pick 13 pickup. The very last card in the pack, picking up a Fey Flight, I thought was great. On to pack 3, pick 1. We opened up Etrata, which really placed us in this Grixis shell. I was really happy with it. It won me at least 2 games. It was great. I love the card. Highly recommend playing with it every time you get it. In pack 3, pick 2, we had the Case of the Filch Falcon. We didn't have too many other artifacts around. We did also have Surveillance Monitor, Crime Stopper Sprite, 2 Out Colds, Tox Analysis, lots of good cards. But I thought this Harry Dronesmith was going to work particularly well with this Cornered Crook, as well as consistently adding counters to the Blood Splatter Analysis. So maybe we could end up picking up one of the Satchels to end up making more Thopters after this had been sacrificed, or even just chipping in for a damage or 2. This was able to harass a Kaya that one of my opponents played, and thought that was particularly strong. Pack 3, pick 3, we were past both a Case of the Crimson Pulse and a Hunted Bone Brute, and while both are great cards, and I really do like them both, the Hunted Bone Brute is the one that kills your enemy faster, right? So the fact that we ended up having 2 of them was extremely powerful, and we never did have both in the same time, but having our opponents kill one, take 3 damage, and then having us be able to cast a second one later on was backbreaking in some games. Pack 3, pick 4. Don't really love too many of these things. We did end up taking the Bullrock Clan Basher. We also played the Bullrock Clan Basher, but I don't really think that's exactly the kind of thing that our deck is wanting to be doing, other than the fact that it is a reasonable thing to do on turn 3, and also a reasonable thing to flip up later. Really happy with Leering Onlooker. I would be happy with this in the Grixis deck we had. I'd also be happy with it in the 5-color deck that we could have potentially had as well. So this was a great pickup. Really happy to see the Leering Onlooker here in pack 3, pick 5. Pack 3, pick 6. We were gifted a bit of a wonderful gift here in Case of the Burning Masks. Not exactly as good as the rare case, but a removal spell that eventually turns into card advantage is all you can really ask for. Moving on to pick 7, we were gifted yet again another wonderful gift in this Soul Innervation. This ended up winning me a game because we ended up needing to gain 1 life as we were racing somebody else with their own Soul Innervation, and being able to exile the Leering Onlooker at the same time at instant speed ended up winning us a game at exactly 1 life, which I thought was awesome and fun. But a removal spell maybe gains you another bit of life here and there. Great card. Murder, pack 3, pick 8. I've been talking with folks, and although my old-timey Magic playerness says Murder is a great card, in this set I just don't think it's as strong as some of these other cards. We picked it, and we played it, and it was great, and it helped, but pick 8 seems to be a little bit closer to about where it's going sometimes, because black doesn't have the same sort of support as a lot of the other colors. Happy to pick it here, because we loved it, it was great, but you're going to see more and more Murders going later and later in your packs. Finishing up the draft, we ended up picking up a Slice from the Shadows, which was awesome. Able to kill Morphs on turn 3, exactly what we're going to be doing. Did end up getting a Crime Stopper Sprite here versus our second Out Cold, and I thought that was awesome. This is a great late round pick. We got another Crime Stopper Sprite. We ended up playing both of them, which was great. We picked up a second Repeat Offender, and finally, we have our last pick. So let's move over to the deck, take a look at where we found it. We'll zoom out just a little bit, and you'll see that we didn't have the best fixing, but we had a lot of good kill spells. We had a Slice, we had Extract, Blood Splatter Analysis, as well as 2 Deadly Complications, a Murder, a Case of the Burning Mask. So anything our opponent played, we were pretty easily able to handle. We also had a Coerce to kill and a Soul Innervation, plus if they got too wide out of our 1-for-1, we had this ill-timed explosion. I thought that this draft had a couple of different ways it could go, and we ended on this Grixis shell, which was a lot of fun. But there was definitely some opportunities to look at that 5-color deck, I think. If you want your deck featured on Run It Back, feel free to send me an email at runitbackmtg@gmail.com. Otherwise, you can feel free to post in the comments down below or send me a message on Discord with your 17 lands draft record. Thanks so much. We'll see you again soon. Take care.